anybody you use to do paint maintenance on your 378 building needs to take the EPA's course for RRP.
This is you guys 2 years ago? I don't know if you guys did a walkthrough with you guys.
So once they get that certification,
Some of you might recognize yourselves over there.
he's responsible to ensure.
But we've done these walkarounds all over the country.
Right? But they need to be RRP certified. He's the only person on the job.
So let's see what the code says for you guys. Ready? Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
It's a steel.
Is this an exterior steel? Don't worry about the word fire escape. Never use it again. Mass Building Code says 1001.3. It says all exterior steel or wooden stair. Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
Yes.
Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair? Same? Same?
Yes.
Now these are balconies. 101 covers balconies, so all exterior steel or wooden stairs, Romeo and Juliet balconies, that's what they're called. So any place that you'll wait for a fireman to save you, it's called a balcony, must be inspected if it's exposed to the weather. So all exterior steel or wooden stairs, balconies, it's right in the code.
Oh, boy.
All exterior steel or wooden stairs and balconies.
Everywhere.
Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
Yep.
Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
Yep.
Is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
It is.
So 5 feet off the ground and it's the way out of their building, is this an exterior steel or wooden stair?
Yes.
Decks, are they an exterior steel or wooden stair?
Yes.
Catwalks and on handicap ramps, are they an exterior steel or wooden stair or a bridge?
Yes.
Exterior steel wooden stair or bridge?
Well,
Any-
a concrete ramp is,
Exterior steel? They don't mention cement, but it gets picked up.
it does.
All exterior steel or wooden cement stairs.
Okay.
The word cement should have been in there, but it didn't make it, but anything, all exterior steel or wooden stairs.
Well, that one picture though, it's a concrete handicap ramp and it's less than 5 feet.
Yeah, it's considered a bridge. We just have, we're dealing with the railings mainly. We're dealing with the whole structure, but you're mainly dealing with railings that can pop. Question? No?
Question.
Yes.
If the student's egress within the unit itself, is it still required even if there is steel?
Very good question. I'll answer that because you asked if they have 7 means of egress out of the building. They have the front one and the back one, and they have to have 5 more. Ready? All exterior steel or wooden stairs
And balconies.
and balconies. And we'll mention fire escape
Well, no,
sometime.
I'm just saying about this, we got these huge apartment buildings and they got all these steel balconies and stuff, every single apartment.
And they're all round.
Yeah.
We see it, I mean, you know, Quincy, Norwich, I mean, that doesn't
This
matter.
is Chelsea Hills. We inspected that. This is also Bentley College. We inspected that for them. So if it's not inspected by the state, it does need it falls under. Yes. Ladders. All exterior steel wooden stairs and fire escapes. And fire escapes, that's where they pick up the ladders. So fire escapes have ladders. All ladders. If you have a pre-existing condition, yes. You want to get a new ladder today, you'll never get it.
Yeah, the problem with ladders too for us is that a city official will come to a vacant unit and inspect it with no knowledge of the family that's moving in. So the assumption is normal healthy adults are going to occupy this and be able to utilize that. We have special knowledge. So we would know that the family has 3 kids under 6 years old that couldn't utilize that. Or that maybe the tenant is in a mobility impaired or handicapped or otherwise disabled. And that would change what we say, and there would be a difference between what we're saying and what the local's saying, because we have special knowledge of the family that's moving in and their ability to utilize that.
But it wasn't pre-existing.
Well, yeah, but there is a scenario where our inspectors come out and realize that this ladder on the wall that you have approval for is completely deficient and non-functional for mobility. And
For that particular client.
And so we would be inclined to say no, regardless of what you have. So my advice is that if you have a ladder, update it to a stair.
Yeah. So that's a special knowledge, yes.
So I know you could say all, but just to be clear, all means single-family homes,
Yeah, everything.
owner-occupied, doesn't matter. I mean, because there's a lot of things that they
Yeah,
in that.
yeah, everybody's covered. Institutions, churches, you know, commercial, residential, everybody must fall in this code. You must have 2 means of egress, regardless of its use. Anything that's going to be occupied for work-related housing must have 2 means of egress. A basement must have 2 means of egress out of the basement, if it's an occupied unit of some sort. This spirals.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
From the building or from occupied unit? Two exits. From the building or from the occupied unit?
Again, it's every unit must have 2 means of egress. So a lot of times if I go into a hallway, that gets me to my front stair, but then to satisfy that building being chopped up into 4, 6, or 8 units, they have to have a fire escape out of my window.
Well,
So-
one of the things, what he's describing, this is something that we see all the time. You come into that apartment building, it's the one that got the balconies that we have been looking at like fire escapes. But
yeah.
we come into that building and the apartment has 2 doors side by side, one in the dining room, one in the living room, right? It goes into one single hallway. The hallway generally has a fire door in the middle of it, right?
Right.
So you can go out either door and go to the front stair or the back stair.
Right.
Okay? Okay, so interior stairs, we know. We've been accepting it, it's okay. Then 2 doors are 2 means of egress out 2 sides of a hallway.
Right.
But if you come out those doors and there's one set of stairs to the street and the other is to a window with a fire escape on it, is that 2 means of egress for the unit?
From the building?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So to say that it's absolutely, we're gonna absolutely say no when the fire department has approved that. 2 doors in the same unit, into the same hallway.
Oh, no, I understand
One
that.
goes to a stair, one goes to a window with a fire escape.
Right.
If it's city
If
approved,
we have
it's hard for us to
if we have
say
one
that.
door to the unit.
Well, 1 door to the unit means only 1 means of egress.
Yes, in this
Unless,
case.
and then if there's only 1 door, then he has to have the fire escape to that unit's window.
I don't know, I used to live in Mystic Place, apartment complex, 3 huge 15-story buildings, 1 door to the unit, no balconies, that's it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened in the past that were wrong. But let me tell you, what he's talking about today is the answer is going to be a fire escape will satisfy. You get a building that has 4 units,
right.
and everything makes it, but then all of a sudden 1 unit is kind of quirky and in the back corner. In order to get that unit safe and meets the 2 means of egress, you add a fire escape to it. Now you've just taken a situation where the existing 2 means of egress satisfied 3, but you augmented it with 1 fire escape in the back. And we did that with the YMCA in Cambridge. It was a 5-story, 1 room they were using to house somebody up there. We had to put a huge fire escape all the way to the top to pick up that 1 room. Now they've eliminated that room and they're removing the fire escape. Catch-22. But these things.
Well, if they leave the fire escape, whether or not someone's using that room, all exterior stairs, right?
Right,
So
all
they
exterior steel or wooden stairs.
it anyway without that.
And these are the
Here's the outside slide.
some of the outside slides. They used to have these in schools. They used to have these in the army barracks. They used to have a lot of these things. So you can't find these anymore. The fact that I found that one in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and it's a 12-story, yes.
Yeah, I have a question. I want to know what's your take on this. Balconies with concrete floors,
Yeah.
but the sheet metal form is all rotted out.
Right. Yeah, it's a cement sponge. The worst thing about cement pads is that they absorb water every day. They transfer that water to the iron and it just rots it out. You have to basically blast those out, and there's very little you can do. You can push another 5 or 10 years out of it. And I'll give you a great example. If I take a balcony that's got some rotten cement, I would basically skin it with another channel all around it. I would run a piece of diamond plate, you know, 1/8 diamond plate or 1/4 inch diamond plate over it, so it still rests on the rotten cement that's there. But now you got a whole new frame. Then you put legs to it, so you basically bury the bad platform inside this new system.
So
That's a temporary fix because it'll eventually rot down and you can start rotting into your new one too. So that's a temporary fix.
what we just discovered in this training is that we've been looking at fire escapes in this way, but not these balconies. And so we're going to be doing a rewrite coming up anyway as we shift to MTW. And that's going to be before, way sooner than later. And picking up these balconies as part of the inspection, we're going to have to address when we rewrite. But ultimately, the balcony is subject to the same Mass General Law 1001.3 as is the exterior stair and fire escape. So in the interim, if you see it, simply ask for certification with Mass 1001.3, just like you would the fire escape, right? You know, I mean, if it's something that looks really scary, I don't want you to do every single balcony you technically book, you understand that, right? Okay.
And if you already met the 2 means of egress in your apartment, and let's say you have 2 means of egress and you have a balcony, you can temporarily put off the balcony from use temporarily, because for some reason you don't have the money to fix it right now, but you have 2 means of egress that you satisfy, just knock it off. You know, somehow fix the doorway or whatever lets them get out of that until you have the money to fix those. So you don't have to make it certified right away, but because it's covered, you have to do something about it. So this is what a tag looks like in Seattle when you run up against it in the middle of the night into an alleyway. So firemen now have the first instinct to say, yeah, I can get on this one, it's a good one. Okay? So now let's go into, since you know what an exterior steel wooden stair, let me now put on a one of our Farscape Academy pieces. And let me just play this one first. Mass Building Code. It used to be 1028.3. So let's just make sure everybody understands. All exterior bridges, steel or wooden stairways, then fire escapes, then egress balconies. So if somebody says, what are you, crazy? Nobody's ever laughed at that crap. See, it's right in the code. So shall be examined and or tested. So here's the word examined and certified. Certified doesn't mean in a visual opinion. I need a certification, some sort of documentation that not only did you see what was visible, but you've also addressed everything that's invisible. So the only thing that these classes are talking about is the fact that the inspector, and just so you know, here's the classes. You can go to Farscape, which I'm going to show Farscape Academy. We just finished doing a class in Northampton. So all the building inspectors out in the West, they've been to the class. We did one in Westboro. So all the inspectors in the middle of Massachusetts have been to this class. We were just down in Taunton. All the Taunton officials have been to this class. And they now know that if they don't get satisfied, they have the word tested in their code, which means load tested. So if they're not satisfied that you've done everything to convince them that this fire escape was examined and certified, they will order a load test. And none of that money, a $5,000 load test, doesn't buy any paint, doesn't buy any bolts. It's paid for big burly men to move around. Weights from one to the next, and take that money, put it in their pocket, and drive to the next load test. It doesn't buy you any paint or bolts, yes?
You've got 1028.3 up. That's the old code.
That's the old code.
Subsequently, that code's evolved now to 1001.3.
And it's not changed. The wording is the exact same wording. So they just changed the number on it. And now, and certified for structural accuracy and safety every 5 years by a Massachusetts registered professional engineer or others qualified and acceptable to the building official. We highly recommend that you don't take a G3 licensed inspection. And I have a G3 licensed inspection. But I highly recommend that you don't take a G3 licensed inspection because there's only a few of us that are doing it right, and there's a lot of us that are doing it wrong. So make sure that you have a structural engineer sign off. Now we have structural engineers on staff. We just get our structural engineer to sign off a lot of our work. So we have ways around it, and another way that we deal with it, a lot of times your building inspector has been to one of my classes, so you have the ability to go in and do this part, or others qualified and acceptable to the building official. That's why we do these classes. So that a lot of times the city official will only accept a structural engineer sign off, or others acceptable. I've gone out of my way to prove to them that I know, and that's because we teach the class. If some other G3 guy wants to sign off in your city, let him speak with the building official and have a one-to-one with that guy. And yes, then he can sign off on these things. And a lot of times when we do any work that, because again, it's a small niche market, not everybody does both, inspect and certify. Whenever we are certifying a fire escape and repairing it, we offer the 10-year warranty, but we usually, and most of the time, always bring in an independent engineer that's not part of our staff to sign off for the client, and we pay for it. Meaning the client finds some reasonable guy to pay 3 hours to basically make sure that he's, that he's the final sign off on our work, so that there's a separation and there's no conflict of interest. That's what we do. But for now, only get structural engineers to look at your fire escapes. So as soon as you get a certificate, say, who signed off on this? Oh, it's Joe, somebody from GQ license out of Boston. I need an engineer to look at this. So same guy, have that guy go get his engineer to come in and look and certify that. So as soon as you start making it just the structural engineers, it's going to help a lot. Yes?
Well,
Where to find the Massachusetts registered professional engineer?
Yeah, just go on the book, on the structural, try to look on the structural engineers. Yellow pages, Google, fire escape engineer, Boston. Structural engineers.
the problem for us is we could get a document from an owner who worked with the city and followed everything, and an individual acceptable to the building official signed off. Then we get that piece of paper. Barring something that we can see and say, based on that, I'm rejecting this piece of paper.
Yeah.
Generally, we're accepting that piece of paper.
Right.
Because the law allows someone acceptable to the building.
And submit an affidavit, correct. So I'm telling you, and we just went through this, that after you get this nice, beautiful piece of paper, the fire escape was painted black, we go back to the age of the fire escape. If you look up at a fire escape that's 50 to 75 years old and it has nothing but original hardware on it, and you think in 75 years it has completely rusted at least one time before the guy got some paint on it.
No.
With that, whether it's spot rust, some rust, or 100% rust, what was compromised during that 75 years? Structural. So even though you have a nice painted black fire escape, just by you looking up and it sees nothing but original hardware, and now we've done, and by the way, this has been an issue because we've done classes, but now as we teach the building inspectors to be aware of what's out there, it's making your job a lot easier. So these classes are not just for you. We're teaching this class to the building inspectors who are now on the watch for these guys giving opinion tests. Yes?
What do you think the average cost is to get a structural engineer?
Most engineers want anywhere from as low as 75 bucks an hour to as much as 175 bucks an hour. They will take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours or 5 to 10 hours depending on the size and complexity and the write-up that they need. And if it involves any oversight, which is the 3 visits, then you have to factor 3 hours for each one of those visits, and then that's where you have to go.
It's starting to run into some money then.
Yeah, you're looking at an average of $1,000 to $3,000 for engineer oversight. But here's the beauty. Your fire escape took 75 years to rot by itself and fall apart. Imagine you refurbish it and you silicone shut it.
Yeah.
It's going to be 75 to 100 years before now the rest of your life, you're just going to be painting it. Just like a rubber roof. I've patched many rubber roofs with tar. But as soon as you rubber it, it becomes out of sight, out of mind for at least 30 years.
Because of the fact that so many fire escapes are out of compliance, is there any plan to get financing for owners, what they do for that payment?
I would call Niama and speak with them. And Julie Kelleher is one I can tell. I mean, that's who we are partnering with, and but it's a difficult situation. Short of the fact that you may have multiple buildings, then you get a lower rate. But on average, the inspections for balconies, we charge anywhere from a beginning to a 5-story, let's say, anywhere from $89 for the inspection, which is a pass-fail, to $489 for a full report that includes a video walkthrough. So let's take a look at one of those.
CGBs too.
So if there's a company that specializes in it, it's cheaper than the engineer because they want a flat rate and they usually get $1,000 to $3,000. So if you all want to write down Fire Escape Academy, and there's about 500 videos here, I will send to Kevin the link of every seminar that we've done. Yours will be uploaded there also. And there's also a playlist here, not only of the seminars we've done, but there's a playlist here for all the National Fire Escape Inspectors. And so you would go here to Nationwide Fire Inspector Training, and if you want to see fire inspectors and building inspectors being taught what to look for, we did a class 2 weeks ago up in Lowell for the entire building department in Lowell. So if anybody has Lowell as one of their cities, they're on top of fire escapes now. because there was a collapse. And so we'll just let this thing load up a little bit.
Just remember, you'll have to watch this at home because we don't have access yet.
No, I actually did it backwards. I was given access, but then the access was taken away, and I got this on the wireless. So, but this is Bob Marsilia, the building commissioner, right after a class. Let's see if she's loading. While that's loading, let me just, I'll answer some questions for you. I'm just going to make sure that she's, yep. No, she's fine here. I just wanted to make sure that was, I had to use a wireless card in order to see this. She'll play. Gary, you want to check to see if you can get this thing to see the wireless? And I'll answer some questions. So this will be the piece that I'll show you guys as soon as you make sure that the wireless is grabbing it correctly. But let's open it up to questions because, again, you guys just went through 2 hours. And let's just recap some of the things that you're definitely going to need. Because you can't remember a lot of this. You guys got lead paint to worry about. You guys got all kinds of things. Make it a checklist item. Ask for a copy of the current certification. It's required by law every 5 years. I need it. Yes, question?
The fire escape. You mentioned at the beginning that it can go through a bedroom, living room, and not a bathroom?
Right. You can't have a fire escape out a window. What happens a lot of times, they have a fire escape outside, and then they remodel the whole thing in the room, and the bathroom went from here to over there, and that's where the fire escape used to be. So if you have a fire escape out of bathroom, it's illegal.
Or kitchen?
And kitchens, you know, climbing over a kitchen sink to get to the bathroom. Yeah,
You
again,
see 'em.
no, let me explain this. The traditional place is always out of a bedroom. But if all of a sudden in the kitchen, it's not climbing over a sink or it's in a room that's giving you the access, it's really a call between now you and the building official. But a lot of times, I've seen many times when kitchens are the ones, but bathrooms, no, and when you're climbing over sinks and obstructions, no. Otherwise, it's bedrooms and common. I have them out of living rooms, and again, and the other thing that you need to do also is to find out where the fire escape is, where the main stair. Because if you have both stairs on the same side of the building, sometimes that causes a problem. Because you're supposed to have the fire escape here, but the main stair coming into the apartment over here.
The city's approved it.
Oh yeah, it's a pre-existing condition situation. Yeah.
But this business with what room it's coming out of, right? I mean, we're gonna have to talk about this. I mean, this is something that, I don't think we're riddled with ones with fire escapes out of bathrooms or kitchens. We're not riddled with them, but they exist. But more importantly, most of them are out of sleeping rooms, right? So what are we looking for in that sleeping room? Is there a privacy lock on the door? Can there be a lock on the door? Can there be a slide bolt, a hook lock, anything? No lock on the room containing a fire egress, right? Can there be a fan? Can there be a window fall guard? Can there be an air conditioner in the window? No. The other thing to consider, and we don't always talk about, is I got some pictures from out Berkshire, and very early on, some of you who've been around a long time, the very first fire escape stuff wasn't him. I took pictures of like 2,000 pounds of ice hanging off a fire escape 2 stories over the ground. It was completely unusable. Had everything in the world wrong with it. Lock on the bedroom door, slide bolt inside that, the window sash dropped, the storm window was missing a piece of hardware, so it was hard to open it, right? And then when you got outside, there was a valley in the roof, and there was no shield or deflector up there to deflect the roof water. There was no gutter, right? So there was all of this roof water converging right on top of the fire escape, and it's freezing as soon as it touches the frozen metal, right? And so it's like literally putting thousands of pounds of pressure on this wooden building. the pressure plates through the wall, right?
Yeah.
But the whole wall, as we looked at this later on, right? The whole wall had a bow in it. From that condition being left winter after winter after winter. It's a balloon frame building with a bowed out wall. Yeah. So,
It's not fire
Here's-
safe anymore.
Here's something that we just learned last week, which is going to be important. I don't know if you have the same ability, but we tell people nationwide that what they've done is actually do an ordinance nearby to order tagging and order confidence tests. I'm going to talk about this, and then we're ready to play. But there's a policy. At the state official, the state inspector said in Massachusetts you can't use ordinances or fire code administrative rule changes to circumvent the code. But in the code there's nothing. He goes, but you can make a departmental procedure, and there's no acceptance of that. You do that
well,
internally.
they're the authority of the jurisdiction, so
They can do a departmental procedure. So right now, we're working on a statewide departmental procedure that will go to all the associations, in turn go to all, and they're gonna ask for confidence tests, tags, but it's a departmental procedure of how they want it inspected and how they want it repaired. If you guys have the ability to have what's called either an informational bulletin or a departmental procedure that says that when you receive a fire escape on any of your building or a fire escape confidence test, it must have a tag. As per industry standard guidelines. It must have a confidence test filled out in lieu of an opinion letter from an engineer.
do you know everything I just described in that unit in Pittsfield? That owner went to the fire department. They did not care at all about one single issue that I put on that paper. They didn't care at all. No, it's okay. Yeah.
And by the way, here in Massachusetts, 50 states, 40 states is controlled by fire departments. 10 states are controlled by building departments. We're controlled by building departments, not fire departments. So even if you win, the fire department has no say. It was a building department. If he doesn't like it, he's the one that can change it, but not in Massachusetts only. You go to Rhode Island, it's fire department.
But it's the Department of Public Safety, not the state fire marshal that has oversight of fire escapes.
So
So this case is going to be responsible, fire department or the landlord?
What's that?
This case, like he went to the fire department and
Yeah.
they said it's
The
okay.
fire department said it was okay, so I said, you know what, it's not okay with us, we don't want the unit.
Okay.
So there was a whole lot of rambling, but it went away, you know? It's like, we can stay and fight over this vacant unit for the rest of the time you're in the rental business, or
Right.
we can give up, move on, and rent to someone else, but we're not gonna take the unit.
So here's the thing that you want to use this poster. If you want to put it in one of your brochures that you carry around, take this poster and show it to clients so that you can tell them, this is what I'm trying to stop firemen and people from getting hurt. So use that. Whoever you speak with that's going to try to work with you, make sure they give you credentials, some sort of documents that show that they're qualified. Every fire escape that gets tagged, we tag every fire escape with red, yellow. Doesn't mean anybody else is doing it, but you should require, it could be a departmental procedure, that every fire escape have some sort of identification and uses an industry standard tag, which is what this is, on the fire escape so that your inspectors yearly don't have to find out whether it's certified, they can just look at the tag. Again, departmental procedures which we were made. This is a confidence test. This confidence test is one pulled right off the internet from Seattle. And it's either a PDF or a Word document. You can just erase their name, put your name, and say this is an industry standard confidence test that will be reissued to any engineer who gives you an opinion letter. You make them fill out this form, which is an industry standard form, or at least answer the questions in the form on their letterhead. So this is an industry standard document. Here you have industry standard repair guidelines, industry standard designing of new fire escape systems to make solutions for existing structures as a guideline.
So,
Engineer oversight, the engineer must mark up the repairs, either in a plan or with spray paint. Guess what's cheaper? And the lead law. And again, the credentials is again not always to you. The credentials really go to the building inspector in the area. Structural engineers and or others approved to the building official. So you make sure that these are all qualified people. So they're going to have to give out one of these. We're ready to play that. We've got to ask
so
a
there's
question.
another branch of the, I know all your outreach, right? And, the guy at the beach house, my buddy Steve, he's the youngest fire chief in the state, Robert. He's still involved in putting together firefighter challenges. It's like competitive scoring of different firehouses and a litany of firefighting skills. There's no such thing as assessment of a fire escape as part of their challenge. So it'd be an interesting piece of outreach
Yeah.
from the bottom up.
Yeah, and then in the West Coast, out in Portland, in Seattle, what they have on a 10-story building is a ladder just for the firemen on the outside. They're not supposed to walk on the stairs on the inside. They gotta climb a 100-foot ladder with all their gear on a ladder on the outside of a fire escape to fight it. This is Lowell. Bob Marsili, the commissioner. He asked for this because the, what do you call it, some deck collapses. And the state fire marshal, Gene Novak, asked for this to...
No, Gene Novak's Department of Public Safety.
Right, because he asked...
You know what, I think it's like
It's loading again? Yeah, it's, but again, if you go to the Fire Escape Academy, we have about 400 videos there. If you go on the Fire Escape Engineer, what you have there is typical inspections that we've done nationwide, and you see not only a slideshow of the fire escape repair, but you also see just what happened when it, when they do a walkthrough. Let's see if we have any other questions that anybody may have while this thing is just slowly loading itself.
Kid Academy inspect.
Sometimes you have to push the ball back, you know, the starting ball on that thing, back a little bit. And don't make it full screen, because that's sometimes just one of the issues.
Kid Academy inspect.
Oh yeah, it's just, you guys got probably no connection in here. So any other questions that we have?
What connection do we have?
No, you guys have a connection here, but the it's blocked from the YouTube. And when we connected in, it still was very slow because a lot of people are using. So we're using a wireless, but even our wireless was giving us a little bit of a problem. Yeah, he helped me out, but it still crashed. I was using my wireless, but it was it's probably a little bit. Anybody else have any other questions associated with what we've talked about today? Because again, these you can go on YouTube, and for your future training, you watch 3 to 5 of these videos. And the seminars, these 2-3 hour seminars are online for free. The classes to the individual inspectors are online for free. And typical fire escape inspection repair guidelines are under fire escape engineers for free. So you can sit there and just get a sense as to what the standard is out there. And you can force any inspector or engineer to go look at these if they like, well, what do you want? You say, well, let me send you a clip. So we can send you the clip to the Channel 7 news piece to say, hey, if somebody's giving you a bit of a hard time and say, well, why are you picking on us all of a sudden? You can always send them the Hank Phillippe Ryan little piece. You can always send them the...
Kid Academy inspector.
You can always send them, if it plays, just let it play.
Training, here we are in Loma.
Yeah, just put it on hold for a second, since it'll, let's just see the... Yeah, I think lower the volume. I think the volume is coming out of one of our speakers there, but let's see if that helps buffer it. So we have the links now to the seminar classes. We have the links when we actually grab the officials. The best thing about the inspector officials, we actually have Gene Novak being trained on how to inspect the fire escape. We have Bob Marsilia being trained on how to inspect the fire escape. So now these are the commissioners of a city saying, yes, this is how we want to inspect it. So if you have somebody out of Walpole that's like, well, what's this newfangled thing? You basically say, hey, let me send you a link to the Channel 7 news piece, to the seminars we've been trained on, and also to inspector training in case. Because a lot of these towns, it's one-man operations. 1 to 3 guys are now running an entire town. Because the cutbacks, budget cutbacks, a lot of these guys are part-time. Still loading? Yeah, for some reason, I don't understand why it's short of me getting out my iPhone and showing you two, but again, Fire Escape Academy and Fire Escape Engineers will play. But if you'd like, we can take I don't know how much time we have, Kevin, if everybody's ready to go. If they want to take a 5-minute break just to stretch, and as soon as we get this on, we can play it, or else we can call it here at the end, and I'll hang out for additional questions at the very end. I apologize that we can't play something, but...
I think we'll call it here so they can get up to lunch and get back.
Okay. Very good. And again, so if anybody has any questions, grab one of our cards. If you want me to send any information to you, I need some cards so I can send you some of these links and some of this information. And you can always call us directly. We'd be more than happy if you have any problems anyway. Take a photograph, send it to us. We'll give you an opinion on it, on what needs to be done. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. This will be online in about 7 to 10 days. You'll see this class online.
You guys, we need to back in 45 minutes because we have to do a training in inspection part. All right? right? So we'll just after 1 o'clock.
All right. We get a whole 45 minutes from this.
Then